Hello, everybody. We are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo. This is my forever co-host John. Today we kick off our Valentine's Day lineup with true classic breakfast. What the fuck? Breakfast at Tiffany's. Start your morning with a breakfast joke. Why not? Anyway, but yeah, this stars Audrey Hepburn and is one of the few pre-80s movies we've ever done, aside from this and It's a Wonderful Life and Seven Samurai. But yeah, I think this is a good start to our Valentine's Day lineup because we haven't done anything pre-80s until now.
Agreed. And yeah, I would say this is a pretty nice
movie.
Is it a good Valentine's Day movie?
I mean, it's a lot of people's favorite romance movies, especially from our parents.
Good movie, in my opinion. I just didn't know what the dating scene was like back in the 60s.
Same here. I'm very confused by the cultures. It's funny how our generations watch movies of the past generations, and you're like, how does stuff work in your generation?
Yeah, well, not gonna lie, watching this movie, I was just mostly there for the vibes. I'm like, yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah.
I like the whole 60s vibe. New York has never looked cleaner,
Yeah, and you're like, wow, when has New York ever looked this clean after the 80s? Never.
And,
yeah, there's
and
never.
Not as violent.
Yeah, exactly. I like the only reason why I really come back to this movie is because of Audrey Hepburn. Damn, you really are the epitome of grace and style and just all around, the vibes you give off. You're just like, you're a very wholesome human being, Miss Audrey Hepburn. It is why you're also a great humanitarian with your work in I forgot what organization, but she has done a lot of non-acting jobs or humanitarian work in the past. But
yeah.
Aside from that, you're like, how does the 60s work? Why do they do this? You know what? If this wasn't in the 60s, I'd be like, this is a very weird modern movie. Because
a little bit. I don't get the dating scene.
Yeah.
Jumping into it, yeah. Yeah, sure, we see her eat breakfast at Tiffany's, but what's the situation with what's his name, Fred?
Paul?
She also has this kind of Freudian thing where she's like, oh, you remind me of my brother.
Sure.
I feel like that's not a good start. Oh, I'm asleep on your bare chest.
Yeah, sure.
I get it, not really a great start.
Yeah. Also, I like how they all they're the 60s version of a party. You're like, this is the most uptight party I've ever seen. They're all dressed in suits and dresses.
Yeah. I didn't get it either. Where's the EDM?
Yeah.
Where's the DJ?
Right. You're like, they really don't have a lot to do in the 60s, huh?
What they do? Talk?
Yeah. Yeah. Who talks at the party nowadays? No, it is directed well enough, and the cinematography is great. The only glaring flaw that I'm like, that doesn't age one bit is the apartment owner. That is the whitest man playing a Japanese character.
I was just like, oh boy. Man has Freddie Mercury teeth and just has a thick accent. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I'm like, how long ago was this from World War II again? But yeah, that's the only glaring flaw. There's not really much of stakes or a plot. It's just Tiffany or what's her other name? Fuck. Lulu.
Yeah, or Holly. Her name was Holly.
Yeah, Holly Golightly.
First alias.
And her real name is Lulu, and she escaped her marriage. And it's not. It's never implied that it's a bad marriage. You're just oh, they're just too young.
No, that was a weird thing too. It was just oh, it was a bad marriage, and she has 4 kids. But she was like, no, she gotta find herself. I was and the guy just accepts it, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. He's just no, I'll stay because you need to come back for your kids, please. He's just oh, okay, you're staying? Oh, bye, Holly.
I was just oh, you know what? She has to find herself. But she's dating different guys. She's trying to get rich, but she can't get attached.
Yeah.
he's trying to like even fall in love with that one like Brazilian guy.
Yeah.
Poor Paul, just like, yeah, he's clearly in love, but he's like not getting it because he's not rich.
Yeah. And like he also has this weird relationship with some designer. I'm like, how does that work?
I don't get it either. Where she's just like, oh, I kind of saw this coming. You're gonna be off with a lady. Anyway, here's some money so you could take care of that lady. I'm like, what?
For the first time watching, I'm like, are you just some weird family member that he sleeps with?
At first I was like, is this your mom? You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, man, the 60s were really a different time. Huh?
I didn't get the dating scene at all. Like the entire like dating, thing in the 60s. Because I'm like, people are just jumping around, aren't they?
Yeah, I think things were much looser back in the day. They're like, yeah, you can sleep with other women, Paul. You're like, huh? Okay.
Yeah, and then like when Paul is just like, oh, I finally got you. I'm in love with you. You're my property. Kind of shit. I'm like, okay.
Like, how times have changed. That's why Holly's like, nobody belongs to each other. We don't even belong to ourselves. I also how we don't belong to ourselves by letting my poor cat go. And you're like, oh no, the poor cat.
I think that was the only scene that really broke my heart, was just seeing the cat in the rain. And it's like,
I'm like, the cat didn't deserve that. Come on, Holly, be better.
I feel like we just had. It is a pretty good movie, but I think we just have a really big problem with the whole like us not understanding the dating scene back in the 1960s.
Like where you're like, yeah, you can cheat on me. You're like, oh, what? All right.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, the chemistry between Holly and Paul as well. Like it. I say I believe it, but I feel like it needed more time.
Yeah.
To kind of just like warrant that, hey, I love you.
Yeah. Like the only time you feel that they really like each other's by the end, where they're looking for the cat getting, you're like, it's a bit.
No, I would say like their like little date where they get like
a
Cracker Jack ring engraved at Tiffany's.
Oh yeah, is that where they also steal masks at the store?
They sell masks at the store.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, by the way, horrible thing to steal if ever you're trying to be sneaky. On your face.
Yeah. I guess if you're middle class white people, you can get away with anything in the 60s.
I guess so.
If you were any other ethnicity, you would be jailed and beaten. But they're white, so they have privilege. So why not?
Okay. Yeah. And like there's a bit of romance. Like there's like clearly there is a bit of like drama between how she kind of tries to take care of herself because she's been kind of going at it alone. She's a free-spirited wild animal kind of deal.
Yeah.
Wild child. I don't know.
I also like the idea that taking someone to the library is their idea of romance. I'm like, wow, if I did that nowadays, people would be like, wow, you are boring.
Not gonna lie though, like Audrey Hepburn just being loud as fuck in the library was so fucking funny.
But yeah, as you can clearly say, our viewpoints today are confused by the viewpoints of the 60s.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Anyone from the 60s, if y'all still alive, like their parents.
Excuse me, my mother's from the 60s. How dare you?
My bad.
Well, born in the 60s, didn't grow up in the 60s, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, same with my parents.
Yeah. But yeah, do you have anything to add to this movie?
I like the ending.
Yeah, I like the
Very
ending
good.
too.
It's very sweet. Like, the dude kind of put out his point. Yeah, there's still the whole "I own you" thing, but like, besides that, like I would say the dialogue between them was like written very well.
Yeah.
Her having that realization that she doesn't have to go through life alone.
Yeah, doesn't have to lone wolf it.
Yeah. She doesn't need to go to Brazil, even though she would have been indicted.
Yeah, I love that scene when the guy was like, you know what, you're in trouble. I will forfeit this marriage. You're like, damn, dude.
By the way, I don't think they resolved that. Because she's connected to a lot of mob bosses.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, I'm going to relay the weather to some dude in the prison. And I was like, oh, that's enough. sketchy, but okay. But it's actually code. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. She's connected to everybody infamous and famous in New York. You're like, I don't think that's the right kind of life you want to live. But you know, I guess things were different in the '60s.
And they never resolve it.
No, they
You know,
don't.
they're just like, they kiss in the rain. I'm like, that's it. And I'm like,
Aren't you connected to like 20 mob bosses though? All right.
all right, okay. You're on the newspaper, for God's sakes, lady.
Right.
And she never gets to like Mexico unless there's like an end credit scene that we don't fucking know about.
Yeah. Like 70 years later, you're like, oh, that's how it ends. Cool.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's all really just for vibes in this movie. Like, there's nothing too heavy. There's not really much of like a plot of like an antagonist aside of unless you count like the Brazilian guy as an antagonist. We're just like, wow, you're a dick.
No, the man just had standards. You know, I would say Mickey Rooney would have been a villain.
Oh yeah, when she's like, I'll let you take pictures of me, and he's like, oh, okay, sure. And you're like, oh, all right, dude.
What kind of hole was that, man? Is it an Asian hole or
just
Japanese hole?
Are you just horny, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, it just shows how much of a great actress Audrey Hepburn was back in the day. But yeah, anything else you'd like to say about the movie or the '60s?
Oh, if y'all a fan of Moon River, I really suggest listening to. Yeah, it's a really good song. If you like that, I really suggest listening to Frank Ocean's version of it. It's hella good, pretty good.
Oh yes, the people born in the 2090s recommends people from the '60s to listen to Frank Ocean.
Why not? Dude, in my opinion, musical genius right there.
Alright. Yes, he is the Frank Sinatra of King, no?
Okay, no, that.
no. But yeah, what would you rate Breakfast at Tiffany's?
I'll rate Breakfast at Tiffany's like a pretty good 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know? It's a pretty good movie. It's no full-on like deep plot or anything. It's just like just for the vibes. Like I really don't get the like them just like cheating on other people and just being like tis the times, you know. I'm like, what?
Here, I'll give you a check for $1,000. You're like, holy fuck.
By the way, this is '60s, so $1,000 might have been like $1 million or some shit. Like adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I don't get it, but it's fine. Other than that, like I'm there for the vibes. It's a pretty good watch. It's still an entertaining watch. Audrey Hepburn was amazing. The guy who plays Paul, I don't know his name, but like I would say he did a pretty good job. But clearly the standout here is the cat. I mean, Audrey Hepburn.
The cat's acting when he's left in the ring. I'm like, wow, that's Oscar worthy right there.
In my opinion, if you want any other like really good Audrey Hepburn movie, My Fair Lady.
Yeah. I had to watch that for school for like a project one day.
Yeah, trying to be like, you have to be poised. You have to, you know, you have to talk proper, table manners or some shit.
Exactly. But yeah, I will also give Breakfast at Tiffany's a 8 out of 10. It's a pretty good movie. Like you're just there. I'm just there for Audrey Hepburn and the vibes. Like, I like the only points I would dock are like the clear racism with the Japanese character. I'm just confused with the dating scene of the '60s. I'm like, how did relationship work in the '60s? I wonder.
I don't know.
Yeah. Strange time. What, 60 years ago at this point? And you're like, yeah.
Hey, for sure, right now our dating scene as well is a little bit odd.
Yeah, I'm sure if you brought the person from the '60s to see our dating scene, they'd be like, how does things work in your generation?
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
But yeah, that's been our video for Breakfast at Tiffany's. What do you guys think? What's your favorite pre-80s movie or romance movie or whatever it is? Is it this? Is it Roman Holiday? Is it Gone with the Wind? Or what's the one with like the old movie where they still have like the Confederate flags all around? You're like, oh my, alright.
I don't know that one, but okay. I would say Willy Wonka was a pretty good one. It was made in the 70s.
Yeah. I like Spartacus and Lawrence of Arabia. There's that, and of course,
I have yet to watch Lawrence of Arabia.
it's pretty good.
Right.
And of course, Seven Samurai. Whatever it is, comment down below. Let us know. But if you like what you see here, please leave a like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon. Ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We've been up since 7 a.m. Dude, give me a break. If you like what you see here, yeah, do all those things. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see our best and funniest moments. I'm breaking down apparently. And Spotify here is on the go. And then I'm Joe does voices on TikTok and Wolf on Letterboxd. Where can they find you?
You're learning your words, man. I swear to God. Yeah, you can find me at JohnJuM_ on Instagram with his smart account.
Apparently,
By the way, you could
7 a.m. is my limit.
really.
Yeah.
We've done this before.
We have? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know. Yesterday was just a long day.
Gotcha. I didn't know.
But yeah, until the next video, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.